Boys and girls, it's time to talk about guitar speakers again, don't you think? It's been a while, I know. Today I want to introduce you to a very interesting speaker coming from FRYETTE Amplification, and this one is called the P50E, which has been around for many years already, and which is, by the way, one of the most heavily requested speakers from your side. I can already tell you it's a very good sounding speaker for high gain guitar tones in the studio if you know how to use it right. That's what I'm going to show you today. Let's have some fun. Here we go. As you might know, FRYETTE Amplification used to be VHT amps, and you can find this speaker in quite a lot of the older VHT cabinets like the Fat Bottom that many of you seem to love, but also in some of the newer FRYETTE cabinets. The man behind FRYETTE is Stephen FRYETTE, and he designed the speaker. And it is built by EMINENCE in Kentucky. And not only since the DV77, we all know that EMINENCE can make some really great sounding speakers for heavy metal guitar tones. Stephen FRYETTE is obviously also the guy who designed the legendary Pitbull range of amplifiers, which I love for their unique and unforgiving type of distortion. I really like them, and I'm using the Synergy module, the FRYETTE Ultra Lead Pitbull module, quite a lot here. Very special amp. I hope they will release a new Pitbull soon, but that's maybe for another video. So that's Stephen FRYETTE. He designed the speaker, EMINENCE builds it. It's a pretty classic design, 50-watt speaker, ceramic magnets, not much to say here really. There are two other things that are important though. First of all, there seems to be only a 16 ohm version, which caused some problems for me here because I live in a 8 ohm ecosystem of speakers. All my speakers are 8 ohm, which makes it easier, you know, to combine them, to blend them in one cab and so on. So that caused some problems for me. For you, it's just important to know that there's only a 16 ohm version. So if you want to mix that speaker in one cab and you have 8 ohm speakers, that can be a problem. I usually go for 8 ohm because that sounds a little darker and has a little less sizzle, you know. Anyway, important information. The other information is very interesting that both FRYETTE officially, but also a lot of you guys recommend to use this speaker in a front-loaded cab. There are not many front-loaded cabs out there. I think Engel make front-loaded cabs and Dietzel makes some. But I happen to own exactly one front-loaded 4x12 that I really like. And this one comes from KOHLE Audio. It is their oversized lungo cabinet that I've already shown you in quite a few videos. And that has I would call it a lot more raw and less polished and more aggressive tone compared to your standard Mesa Boogie oversized 4x12, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. Anyway, I just felt like, hey, if everybody recommends to use this speaker in a front-loaded cab, let's do it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to compare two FRYETTE P50s that I have here in 16 ohm with the industry standard, a 8 ohm Mesa Boogie voiced Vintage 30 from 2003. Okay, so that is pretty close to the holy grail of guitar speakers these days. So we're gonna find out how they compare and hopefully a lot more. So one thing that is different in this video compared to any of the speaker videos I've done so far is that I'm not gonna play guitar today. I'm not gonna chugga you through the whole video. The main reason is, like I told you, the different impedances of the speaker. So I can't just put them into one cab and play them at the same time without getting like a weird total impedance, and I tried to avoid that. So what I did instead was I just recorded 1 or 2 minutes of standard chugga, and we're gonna listen to that, and I'm gonna use that to introduce you to the speakers and to compare them. Here we go. As usual, I'm playing my beloved Fernandez Ravel baritone guitar loaded with EMG 81 pickups. I'm going into my Brunetti Extra Lead. I dialed in a very standard sounding modern metal high gain tone. Could have used the 5150, whatever. We want to compare speakers here, so nothing special. From there, we're going down into my live room, into the KOHLE Audio Lungo cab, and I have an SM57 in front of every speaker. I usually start miking the edge of the dust cap. With the FRYETTE speakers, I had to move the mics quite a bit more into the middle of the speaker because they sounded a little indirect first. So when I compare speakers, I always try to find the optimum mic position, not the same one. That makes no sense. But let's start with the V30 and let's have a listen. And that's a sound we all know, right? The sound of the V30. It has really defined how metal has sounded in the last at least 20 to maybe 30 years. And one thing that I really love about the V30 is that it seems to focus on the main tonal information of the guitar sound. You know, it seems to leave out everything around it, all the and everything, and really pulls you into the guitar tone itself. It also makes the guitar sound like this, right? Really in your face. And that's one of the reasons why V30 sounds sit so well in a dense metal mix. And I gotta say, when I first switched from the V30 to the FRYETTE, I was quite disappointed. Let's do that now. I mean, that doesn't sound bad. It just sounds a little hollow, a little honky, and has a lot of sizzle up there. But the main problem was it sounded a little indirect compared to the V30. I felt like, hey, the V30 is here and the FRYETTE is somewhere else. And I gotta say, the two FRYETTE speakers sound quite similar. Let's compare them. And this is really, really close. As you might know, two speakers of the same type can sound very different. So either I was lucky or this just speaks for the quality control or at EMINENCE. I don't know. They sound very similar. But as I told you, I wasn't that blown away at first. But the more I listened to the speaker, the more I listened to it and the more I played it, I was like, wait a minute. There is actually a really, really stable low end. And also the mid-range just feels very unphasey, that's how I call it, and quite linear. I know those terms make no real sense. And it seemed like there are some higher frequencies that just cover all the beauty of the mids of this speaker. This might also have to do with this speaker being brand new, you know, so I couldn't play it for 15 years or 20 years like the other speaker. I don't know, but it felt like the higher frequencies are masking the beauty of the mids. And that's when I started EQing this speaker. And believe me, once you pull out the right frequencies, this speaker shines and sounds amazing and fat and beautiful. But before we start EQing a little bit, let me just tell you that this speaker sounds fantastic in combination with a V30. I know that a lot of you guys are looking for something to complement your V30, and this really, really works. Let me just turn on the V30, and then I will add, you can see it here, I will add the FRYETTE. But now let's move on and let's start EQing. And this will be a real surprise. Let me show you what I mean. And what we see right now already tells me what I need to do. I don't want to touch the low end because it sounds fine to me, but I can see a very sharp peak here at 1K and another one at 3K, and then I can see a buildup of higher frequencies at 8.4. So why don't we just pull out a little bit everywhere? And this already, wow. I could also use a high cut filter. Well, that's already so much nicer. Now let's take care of 1K. And you really want to get rid of that whistle. And this is already getting so beautiful. Can you hear that? Maybe I also want to boost the lows a little more. And when I bypass the EQ now, you will understand how much those frequencies were shifting our attention away from the actually really beautiful mid-range to something that only does whoosh. Let's have a listen. And if we go back to the V30, we can already hear that this sounds actually warmer and fuller. You might want to get this a little more aggressive. Right now we got a really lush and whatever warm and thick sounding tone. What you can do is you can either push something up here. To get a little more grind into the tone. And I did the same thing to the other Fryette speaker. Before EQ. So that's Fryette number 1. Number 2. And V30. So what I really love about this speaker is the thick lower mid-range. Once you get rid of the sizzle. Like if you compare it to a V30 one more time, this is the V30. And just to prove that I'm not telling you any bullshit here, I've just created some IRs. I've captured some IRs of that setup with the EQ. And let's compare them to my DV77 IRs from my EMINENCE digital IR pack that you all know. I just loaded the Neural DSP Omega and turned off the cabinet, and I've loaded on the left side we've got the DV77 IRs, and on the right side we've got my Fryette IRs. So this is the EQ'd version. I've cut the highs a little more on this one. Let's have a listen. And we go to the DV77. So you can hear that rather raw character of the KOHLE audio cabinet, but hey, the quality is there. That's an amazing guitar tone. I'm pretty sure you can have some fun with this speaker. So let me sum it up. This is a fantastic sounding speaker in combination with a V30. I know that a lot of you guys are looking for speakers to blend, and it also sounds great on its own, but you gotta tame the higher frequencies in the studio. And that just unlocks all the beauty in the lower mid-range. I'm pretty sure that if you play this speaker for a while, it will also get a little bit darker, and that will just naturally sound a little more like my EQ'd version. And many of you guys have very old P50s, maybe they sound closer like this. But there's nothing wrong with EQing a speaker as long as you end up with a great result. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to use that in the future. Another nice color, another nice option here in the studio. And it seems to work with the KOHLE audio cap, which is also cool. And if you want to have those IRs, I'm going to put them into my academy, KOHLE Audio Cult. You know, I have an academy where people can learn how to record, mix, master all kinds of heavy music. Another link below. So everybody inside that academy, or if you want to join in the future, you will get those FRYETTE IRs as well. Okay, isn't that cool? And of course, a lot of courses and multitracks and plugins and all the other cool stuff we have inside that academy. Check it out, link below. That's all for today. Let me know which other speakers you want to see in the future. I know you want to see the Hesso Demon. Are there other speakers you want to see from Celestion, from Eminence, from Jensen, whatever? You let me know. Leave another comment, please. And I really hope that FRYETTE will re-release one of the Pitbull amplifiers, like the Ultra Lead or the CL or something. I really want to try one of those amps. Hello, FRYETTE, please re-release that amp, and I want to do a video about it because I love it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. I see you in hell, motherfuckers. Bye-bye.